Welcome, everyone. This is Pineleaf Needles, and you are listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And please welcome for this week, Andang.
Hey, everybody.
Teri Adwin.
Hi.
Maven.
Hey, y'all.
Arathert.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Carfet.
At your service and your families.
And please welcome back Braxwolf.
Hello, Lotro. It's been a while.
And also, please welcome back Lily Kate Buggins.
Me! Hello, everybody.
Lily.
Also, we have a special guest this week, so we're going to have a right lively show. And so please welcome our special guest for this week, our poet laureate, Estelle Ali.
Buonasera a tutti.
We're very international tonight, aren't we?
Yes, apparently so. We're getting half
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the welcome.
Very well, let's head into our first section, which is to ask Estelle Ali is what got you interested in LOTRO and Tolkien, and how you got interested in working with the community.
Okay, well, this is an interesting story because I'm one of the few people who got into Tolkien after the movies because I didn't know much about Tolkien. I never read Lord of the Rings growing up. So after the movies, after the Return of the King, I decided that I should probably read the books because I really loved the world that Tolkien created. So I started with Lord of the Rings, read the appendices and everything, and the appendices kept talking about this other book called The Silmarillion. So I thought, I should probably read Silmarillion. It sounds really interesting, like it talks about all this epic stuff. And so I started Silmarillion. It was different from Lord of the Rings,
a little bit.
Yeah, like one chapter talked about only the maps and the locations. So quite interesting. So shortly after I discovered the Tolkien Professor podcast, and that was like my companion through the Silmarillion reading. But it started with the Hobbit, so I never read the Hobbit before. So I finally read the Hobbit, and the Hobbit is different from the Silmarillion and Lord of the Rings altogether. It was much light, and later we find out that Tolkien wrote it for his children, and it was like a children's book. And after that, I read, obviously, Unfinished Tales, then The Children of Hurin, and finally now I started the History of Middle-earth series thanks to Midgard Institute courses, which is pretty awesome. So shout out to Midgard.
Yay! Sorry.
And as far as LOTRO goes, well, when LOTRO first came out, I didn't have like a good computer, so I could never play it. I saw the videos, it looked pretty interesting, but I never had a good computer which could support an MMO. So after like around 2.5 years ago, I finally got a good computer, so I downloaded LOTRO, and it was free to play by then, so it was pretty awesome. And just started playing it. I already liked video games, so it was not hard for me to get into LOTRO and learning the ways of an MMO. So that's LOTRO, and how I got into community was through listening to CSTM podcast. So I listened to those podcasts, and it was pretty awesome to listen to them. But when they finally folded, I did like when I created a character, I used to always write like a backstory to my character to give it some context, and like write little poems for them. So when LOTRO Players started, I just contacted Andang and asked him if I could like send them poems in the mail. So I kept sending poems, and finally had the pleasure of reading them all those times. And after that, when we moved to the website, I asked Andang again if I could start writing the poems on the website and publishing them on the website, and he said yes. So I started writing them for the website, and that's how I got into the community. So I started writing them there because I wanted to provide like a commentary on the verses that I wrote, on the fun verses. So I wrote like a little backstories how I got to those verses, and that's how it started.
Yeah, Estali, you are my hero because you wrote poems for Pine Leaf to read on the show, and each time that happened, every single one was better than the last. And we've had other people write poems as well, and they're awesome. But I think that you've probably submitted the most, especially once you started writing on the site. So, hats off to you, good sir. There were a lot of good poems that came out from there. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, good sir.
Giving me some challenges in reading, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and those were not easy poems to read and get through. I even had difficulty writing them.
Yeah, Pine Leaf really summarized what I was actually saying. I just really liked hearing Pine Leaf mess up on the show.
The most hilarious moment was when I sent in the Golem poem, and it was called like Alone and Being All Alone, and I asked Brax to read it especially, and Brax said, okay, sure, I can read it. That was really funny.
Well,
you remember Brax?
Yeah, nobody wants to take the spotlight away from Pine Leaf on this show. We know who the real star is.
I know, right? I never made the same mistake again. I never asked Brax to read anything ever again. I said, Pine Leaf is my man.
All right, let's head into our game news for this week. Since we have some actual real game news, started out with the release of a small little patch, update 15.3. And Lily, what was your opinion of this update?
Oh, the music update. Are we not covering that in LOTRO Plays News?
Well, you can cover it now, and then
I
we'll
can
breeze through
jump
it
to
later.
it now. Well, basically, yeah, we had our music system update, and the first thing that most of the community that I'm involved in did was log straight in as soon as it updated and check out all of the sounds on all the instruments, and then started testing their music. And it's basically had a mixed welcome to begin with, and now actually we've had time to test further and in more detail. We've found more problems. We found problems that weren't there with the old system. And basically, I think the tide might be turning to where most people are having to, like, if they use the system, they have to drop 2/3 of the files because for one reason or another, they're unplayable. And so with the other third, they also have problems with directional sound, where you can actually stand in one place and turn and hear different instruments, and then you turn your other ear and you can hear other things. It's not the same as note dropping, but it is a directional. I don't know. I'm not minded in sound technology, but if I found out that if you stand behind the band, that is the best place to hear the mix of all the instruments put together. So it might be that the music community actually wants the old system back sooner rather than later if they're not going to do some serious fixes.
Does that mean that during the until it is fixed, that the bands will be turning their backs to the audience?
Only the rude ones. I had considered it, but I don't think I will. I'm just going to pick up and play that third of my songs that aren't awful, or that I can adapt to make them sound kind of okay. We've got some, like, if you've got a flute and a clarinet on the same melody, something weird happens where it kind of clashes. We've got strange notes in basically all instruments apart from the harp. The banjo, well, actually the lute is now kind of a banj lute or a lutejo. It's neither one instrument or another, but a mix of two instruments. Drums are fine. Cowbell's wonderful. They even fixed the pib. But yeah, having quite a few problems. And there's a timing issue as well. I don't know if they got rid of that. But I was practicing with TSO today, and my TSO 24 files take me like a week to make each, and we played 3. And the first one was fine, so I was really optimistic. And then we played my favourite one, and it was just absolutely appalling in the new system, and I'm still a little bit sad and I'm a little bit depressed.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
we
have
played it
Aw.
twice because you
I'm
wanted to
gonna-
hear it again with harps in the
Yeah,
loot
yeah,
section.
because we had the horrible twang note on the loot section, so I called the cut and asked them to reload it with harps. But then when the harps were playing, you could hear it was just in not in a good key for the system because the seventh note on the system is the one that's having problems. So the clarinet was hitting the note, the horns were hitting some weird high pitched note that was sharp. The pip's no longer having the jump notes, were actually not folding where, of course, I'd been working around the old system and they would fold. So they were playing an octave higher on one note. So it was just a bit of a mess. And then we played my Fellowship of the Ring symphony. And after that, I said to everybody, I'm going to go to the forums and ask for the old system back, please. Unless they plan on doing something straight away. So, yeah, I was kind of optimistic at the start of the week, but now, of course, I've tested through some of. It's not the fact that if I could change the files and it would sound good, I wouldn't mind. It's the fact that there's nothing I can do with that system to produce a sound that would work. So they either need to put in a couple of fixes really soon, or basically we might not even have a Weatherstock this year.
Ouch.
It's kind of that serious at the moment. We've had bands pull out. We've had bands saying that they're wait and seeing. But yeah, if everybody's playing at best on a third of their stuff, I mean, it is possible to make files to fit the system. If you basically drop two instruments and you work around this seventh note, you could possibly, and you make sure you don't see, there's too many if you don't do this, if you jump through this hoop, if you jump through that hoop. So if it's not fixed and fixed soon, they're better off putting it back to what we had, because at least then we've got our back catalogues which will work. I don't know.
Oh, question.
Go on.
Yeah, I was wondering, is it worse with TSOs than most others because we have a much larger variety of it? Would the smaller bands be able to get through it, or is it even worse with them?
If you had a lute and a drum and a cowbell, no, a harp and a drum and a cowbell, you'd probably be okay. But anything else, you're going to have to start working around problems which there weren't before. So, and June have already reported that they have to basically not play 2/3 of their set. And other bands are also reporting that they have to either work around or put up with stuff that wasn't broken before and is kind of broken now. So, yeah, we're hoping, well, I'm personally hoping that they address some of these issues and they do it quickly, because what we do have is we have in-tune instruments. If they could just make them consistent, it would be fine.
They're in tune with themselves, but not with each other.
Yeah, the flute's clashing with the clarinet. The horn is lovely in the lower register, but in the top I don't like it. The oboe, which wasn't broken before, is now kind of plunky and it's not consistent. So, and don't ask me about bagpipes.
I think this is the most educated rant I've ever heard in this podcast. Like, we're hearing this stuff about the seventh note and all this stuff. It's like, oh.
I haven't even touched on it. I haven't even started. I'm trying to resist going into full rant mode. No, but they have done some nice things with it. But what they needed was somebody that could actually hear pitch, basically, because there's none of these instruments are actually in tune with each other. So, and yeah, along the scale, you've got on the clarinet, there's 3 notes which are obviously not of the same scale as the rest. They've taken some different sample. There's a horrible breathy section on the flute where it sounds like they've sampled somebody that didn't know how to play the flute. So I'll pull back now.
Okay. Out of curiosity, does it sound like perhaps they used instruments that were that were all tuned to different keys, and I know modern instruments is equally out of tune, so we're used to the sound of that. Maybe they have every instrument is optimized to a certain key and it's all clashing each other that way, or is it for a different reason?
I think they've had somebody who didn't have an ear.
Ah, okay.
Like, seriously.
Well, okay, I guess that's another possibility.
It's like, what we do first is we come in, we sit, we grip the instrument, we press M, and then we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, listen to the scale. And then it's like, lovely, and the number 8 goes, wang. How is that not different from the rest?
I mean, oh boy, yeah. That's the problem if your octave doesn't sound like an octave higher.
So I'm gonna wait and see. But I mean, we had the directional problem with the hearing. Some people are having timing issues where, like, if it's playing in 4/4 and in the third bar there's a couple of quavers, well, it will kind of play them in double time. So some weird stuff's going on. So I don't know. I think I'm coming to the conclusion where I'm going to be of the mind just to ask for what I know back, and they had to try.
And they managed to break a bunch of other stuff in the process too.
Oh yeah, that was the really funny bit, is when they broke two skirmishes and
two skirmishes in an instance in the process of
they did that.
Yeah, I remember somebody did commenting on that. Oh, Pineleaf's going to be really sad because he can't get skirmisher Middle Earth, and I said, but his harp sounds very nice. He'll be happy. So.
Well, at least, fortunately, they did do they did do a hot fix on Friday to take care of the skirmishes.
And that also, for some reason, got rid of the snap, crackle, and pop that was going on.
Well, yes, because you don't want to hear eat Rice Krispies while you're playing.
While you're trying to play. Oh, and they seriously broke the bagpipes. So, yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm sad now too.
Let's head into Bull Roar. And Bull Roar, we had updates 16 beta 1 preliminary release notes, where we had our first look at several new things: Osgiliath, a new instance cluster, and a legendary item update. Andy, you want to take this?
Yes, Pineleaf, there was a lot of stuff that came with update 16. First of all, let's actually start with the landscape. For the most part, there's not too much interesting except for Osgiliath. But the rest of the landscape, there's not that much there that you can actually go to. That being said, you can see Minas Tirith from over top a hill that overlooks the little river partition in the wall, so that you can the outer perimeter wall, so that you can see into that circle and see Minas Tirith there in the distance. So that's kind of exciting because it's showing, basically we can see the next update, what we'll be getting later this year.
And the lower level is black.
That's right. That's how the books are. I was really excited about that, that they got that right from the books. Also, the rest of the landscape, like I said, there's not too much there. It's mostly just more of the same of what we had in Central Gondor. But Osgiliath is massive. It's massive, and it's a mess. The orcs have had a crazy party, and the Gondorians complained about the noise, and the Gondorians died because of that. So, or maybe that's not exactly how it went, but...
I thought it was done by a herd of stampeding elephants.
Frat orcs.
Well, those moved in too. There's a lot of just destruction that happened in that city, and so it's just a huge burning mess that has patrolling forces still inside. This was just the first round of beta, but already I can see how that Osgiliath was designed to be not only a city, but also a very close quarters PvP map, because some of the entrances look just like the main base as far as like distance goes in the PvP area in the Etmors. And so that was kind of interesting because nowhere else in LOTRO do I think is like that. And I just noticed it in Osgiliath, and I'm like, that's kind of weird because that's just like in PvP. So clearly they built the city in mind for both PvP and PvE. At least I think it's clear. We'll see if the PvP map ever does come come out. They already said a long time ago that it wasn't going to be in this update. But it should be, if they are working on it, it should come out sometime in the next year, I would imagine. So that's kind of interesting. The city itself is, like I said, just completely destroyed. And it's also very maze-like because they have some areas closed off that really closed off. Plus, right now the map is not in existence because it's the first round of beta, so it's really easy to get lost in there. Which is kind of cool because it's the largest city that we've been to so far in Middle-earth. And, really, like, the third largest in all of Middle-earth because it's just Minas Tirith and Minas Morgul that are bigger. So that's kind of exciting.
How large are they compared to Numinous?
Well, let's do Dol Amroth because that's more fresh in my memory. I'm thinking Osgiliath is probably twice the size of Dol Amroth, at least.
Oh, wow.
What would you say, Teri? Do you think that that's around the size? Or have you explored it too much?
I haven't really done much exploring, so
From what I've heard,
say.
It seems about twice the size of the land.
Yeah, it definitely seemed about that big when we were running through it last night.
And is it like deserted, or like did you see NPCs walking around?
It's been totally taken over by enemy NPCs. And so it's just burning mess with tons of dead bodies all over the place. It basically, if you've areas and seen all the dead bodies in like Rohan or Gondor, think that, but with Osgiliath.
Yeah, it's just
nice.
Yeah, so
and works, and yeah, it was. The instances are still a little deserted.
One really cool thing is that you can actually overlook the entire city from on top of a hill, which we haven't been able to look over a big Gondorian city from on top of a hill before. So it was really cool to see just how big this city is, because when you're down inside, you can't really tell just how big it is. But from above, it's just an amazing, amazing shot.
Yeah, it's harder to get a sense of scale from street level.
Right. One other thing that's in the update is the mountains of Mordor are there on the edge. Also, right now they have placeholder stuff, I'm pretty sure, because it looks like the Mirkwood Castle, but there is the edge of Minas Morgul in the game right now. You can't go in, or no, you can't even really see it because it's kind of around a corner. But you can see the lead up to it, and so we are very, very, very close to Mordor. And so technically, you can now casually stroll your way to Mordor if you want to. So
okay, I'll do that.
Hey, that's a whole new. It won't be a lunch anymore, though. It'll be like lunkum, right?
Lunkum. Okay.
Right.
So, does anyone else have any other thoughts on the landscape?
Were you able to see Mount Doom?
No, you can't see Mount Doom. No.
Okay.
No. You just basically can see the very edge of Miss Morgul, and that's even a stretch. So you can't see any of the other stuff in Mordor. Pineleaf, did you tour I kind of dragged you through a tour. What did you think of the landscape?
Well, since I spent the whole thing trying to follow and figure out where you went.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. That needs to be a T-shirt, actually.
It does need to be a
Been there, done that. Have the T-shirt.
Or
right.
I followed Andang and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
That's
Right.
Just get it on podcasties.com.
I tried. I tried to find
All right.
Mandag.
Very well.
There you go.
Let's go into the Osgiliath instances.
Now, these are a little bit more interesting, I guess you could say.
That's an
Yeah,
understatement.
let's go with that word.
Basically, right now the instances are not finished. It is beta, which makes sense. I mean, they're building Osgiliath and don't even have the map for that yet. So I totally am okay with the instances not being done in the first round of beta. But that you can definitely see the potential there. The difficulty definitely seems to be there. I think everyone can agree on that so far.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that they're too easy.
No.
Right. We don't know if that they haven't commented on if that's like final difficulty or not on that first instance, because it seems like from what I've seen, because you can run those instances at any level, or at least down to level 50, because I saw somebody else's video run through it, and so the first instance is done, and it gives you a pretty good idea of kind of the instance group as a whole and the difficulty. They didn't say if the difficulty's done with that yet, which I hope not, because there's some things where you literally can't avoid death because of bleeds and things like that, which are kind of annoying.
Oh.
See, the number of times I was one shot in that video.
So frustrating.
Yeah, if you want to see Pineleaf die a lot, be sure to watch my instance videos.
Oh, Pineleaf's not the only one
I'll
who
do
did
that.
Come on.
Yeah, he's not. So anyway, the instances as a whole seem to be, very related to Osgiliath. I think that there definitely seems to be a good plot line there because they revolve around Faramir after the city was taken over. So I think that that's a pretty cool plot line. If you know what happens after the city gets taken over, then you already have the instances spoiled, I guess, but you also know how cool of a plot that actually is. And so you search all over the city from the sewers beneath to the tallest monument in the city. So there's a wide range of atmosphere that you're able to go through in these instances. And, I mean, really, at the end of the day, all that matters, it's new instances.
Yeah.
It's been
we needed that.
forever.
Mhm.
Exactly.
The community has been asking for new instances and new raids, but we don't get a raid this time. But the new instances are most welcome, and because after the Erebor instances, this is the first time we are getting new instances. And Osgiliath is a really cool zone, and the story progresses. And if you say that the plot line of the instances is really good, then it's really, really awesome.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 2 3-mans and a 6-man?
Yes.
Right, there are 2 3s and a 6. No raid planned ever, it seems.
Sooner
I
or
haven't-
later, come on. If
I haven't
you
had a
push enough-
chance.
Well, I still think the Shelob raid is in the future.
Yeah,
No.
there's probably that. But as far as before we go to Minas Tirith, there's not going to be a raid instance. it
not
seems.
before Minas Tirith.
And
I haven't.
Go ahead, Arthur.
I haven't actually had a chance to get the Bulroar client yet, so I have not got a chance to see all this stuff tested. I'm very impatient. But from what I've heard and read on the forums and heard on Twitter, it seems like the instances have like real mechanics and not just the tank and spank and things like that. So is it things that require coordination in groups and most likely wiping the first couple times?
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Oh, wow,
Definitely.
nice.
Times, yeah.
Nice,
Awesome.
nice.
2,
Awesome.
3, 4, 6.
And the 6-man they have not finished yet, and also the other 3-man they haven't come close to finishing it either. In one of the 3-mans, you follow this mysterious figure that you think might be Faramir, and they haven't put that figure in the game yet. So we were just like randomly walking around the city trying to figure out where we were supposed to go next in the middle of the instance. And eventually we kind of maybe found our way. We're still not sure if we found the right way to go or not. But
Is it like really that big?
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, the city is huge. The city is absolutely huge.
That second one takes place in Osgiliath.
Well, and
Oh, wow.
the difference about Osgiliath compared to some of the other cities is the other cities have been on different like levels where there's like a bottom level, a high level. In Osgiliath, it's mostly on the same level. And so it's the first, like, not only is it bigger as far as perimeter, but it's all on the same level. So it's not like once you get to this top part, there's only like so much of an area that you can travel. The whole city is basically on one level, and so it's very hard to find your way around in different places.
So think like the delving in the moors, about 5 times bigger with no map.
Well,
Okay,
maybe
Yeah.
not.
wow.
No, I would probably say that because
That
I've
sounds
been in the devil.
interesting.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens when the map comes. We might all look like fools once the map comes, and it's really like this very easy to navigate city. But right now,
They don't
especially,
usually do the maps in the instances, right?
Anybody who has played with me in game knows that there is no such thing as an easily navigatable city.
Nope. Every couple days we'll hear, I'm lost in DG. Dargazic in the moors. That's it.
so and then there's that instance where you're randomly following a guy that's not really there, but they're going to add him in later, so that'll happen. The other 6-man. Basically, they just have the lead up to one boss where there's a bunch of trolls, and then you fight an elephant, and then you go to this other part of the city that they haven't finished out yet. So, but they definitely seem interesting and different from other things. Like especially the most finished one, there's lever games where you have to pull different levers to try to figure out how to get through different parts. And I looked ahead on someone else's video, and the final lever stuff is really hard to navigate, apparently. So it's definitely using different mechanics than we've seen before, which is really cool.
Cool. It's
Now,
like
are they-
harkening back to the end of the Forsaken type puzzle trappery. I like it.
Is it this sort of thing where the mechanics are going to be things that will stay difficult, or are they going to be things that people will be able to memorize and blow through
Probably memorize.
quickly? Okay.
So, yeah. But overall, I think it's definitely a good start, but obviously they have a ton of work to do on them still to finish the other two especially. But it seems like a good start for the instances. So let's go on to allies, I guess, Pineleaf.
Yeah, right. Yes, and the third major item in there is that they have given an update to the legendary item system, something that you can do to a level 100 legendary item called imbuement, and they've introduced this within there. I noticed that Andang and I have both prepared videos showing off this new system. But Anding managed to post his first.
If you want to call it a new system,
Well, okay. It's a variation on the current system.
right, and really, I mean, they've said that the UI is not final yet, and I believe them because right now, there's not that much information there. They basically, the way that the new imbue system works, we probably need to cover that first. The way the new imbue system works, basically you just go to an LI trainer, and normally when you reforge an item, it's basically the same process, where instead you click on an imbue option, and he's like, are you sure you want to imbue your item? And then you're like, yes, those messages are so annoying. And so and so then he lets you imbue the item, and then yay, you never have to deconstruct that item ever again unless you figure out that you accidentally imbued the wrong one. But as long as you imbued the right one, you're good to go. And basically all it does is allows your DPS and legacies, or whatever the other thing is on your non-DPS weapon, it allows those to level up while your item's gaining XP. So instead of your overall item leveling up, it's now those particular parts are leveling up within the item. Right now, they don't have any way to route the XP, so everything just levels up at once, which I hope they change that, because I'd want my DPS to get leveled up first and then all my legacies. We'll see what happens there. Also, it doesn't tell you how much XP you actually need right now.
Well, actually, it does. It does, because when I hovered over, if you see my video, when I hovered over the second, it says how much you have of 30,000, because it seems to be 30,000 for every single level, for every single tier.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah,
You'd think that it'd grow like the rest of it.
It
But
didn't when I was looking. Maybe at the ultra high tiers it changes or something like this, but every tier I checked it was 30,000.
When I highlighted over it, it wasn't working right.
Oh,
So
you
I
have
don't
to
know.
highlight on the right side, not on the left side. You were highlighting on the left side in your video, I think.
Well, that's very specific. So they definitely need to improve the UI so that people like me can figure out where the XP is.
Something more intuitive for ending.
Exactly.
So like there won't be any more item XP scrolls?
Well, you can still apply those to your item, and instead of applying to basically your item technically has XP like behind the scenes, but really the XP isn't going to your overall item, so your overall item isn't gaining levels. It's the subcategories that are gaining levels, and so like your DPS will be on level 2, and so that'll mean that you have a little bit more DPS than you did from level 1. And so it'll just keep growing and growing over time. But you can still use those scrolls to apply to the item, and it'll add XP.
I should note that when you first imbue the item, your item is going to be a little bit weaker than it currently is. But after you put quite a bit of experience into it, it is going to be a lot more powerful than your current item.
I wonder if that's final.
I don't know, but that's how it currently is on Borer.
I would imagine it would be.
It also sounded like from some of the forums I was posting, people weren't super thrilled with how many XP pills they had to burn to get their LI back up to where it was before they imbued it.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe they're going to balance that up.
Set of pills on.
Well, is that true if it's at level 60?
I used a level 60 item for
Okay.
my video.
I just wanted to make sure because. Okay, that's good to know.
So all the legendary items which are below level 100, what will happen to them? Can we still keep using them, or do we have to absolutely change them for a level 100
Right,
item?
so you do not have to imbue an item. You can keep your same LI, and even after this update goes live, you can still not imbue your item and just do it the normal way it's always been. Basically, you do have to have a level 100 item currently to imbue it, which I don't know how I feel about that right now, but it's a step in the right direction. At least some items are imbuable.
I just think that if it were possible to do it on a lower level item, they have to come up with a way that it won't be abused, because people will be using level 58 easy to acquire first agers and trying to imbue those.
Another issue I'd see of how this would be implemented is I noticed in the patch notes a lot of the things that involved adding targets or adding bleed pulses or adding or cooldown reductions, those have almost all been made into passives for the class.
Yep.
So
That's right.
My question is okay, when does that passive kick in? Guardian, for example, all the melee targets, all the skills were 5 melee targets. I haven't gotten a chance to log in to see if that's 5 only or added 5 on, because that would make a huge difference in whether this is like a major nerf or whether it's a major buff. But is it going to be something like, my skill that used to have 3 targets, like Vexing Blow, 3 targets, does it have 5 targets now, and then I can not imbue and I have 15 targets? How does that going to work? That's my curiosity with the whole system is, are those passives going to be optional as well?
And from what I've seen, it sounds like they're still working through all of that.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead, Bunny.
Yeah, I know that on my Warden, I lost my ambush faster legacy. It was turned into a different legacy when I logged in, even the non-imbued version. I no longer had the legacy that would reduce my induction time for ambush, which of course is the first one I always go over. I always choose whenever I create a javelin.
So
of
all
course.
the legacies are nerfed, whether we do imbue them or not, but the legacies are gone. They will change even.
Well, that
altogether.
particular legacy was gone. And there was also one that was on my spear that was also gone. But it was the one that But the one I noticed the most, of course, was the one on javelin, since that was my key favorite legacy of them all. Was a certain minor one on the
ambush induction.
Yeah, the ambush induction one. Yeah.
Now,
Because
I'm actually looking at the notes. It says the inductions were reduced by 3 seconds, down to 2 seconds, as a passive.
As a passive, well, I didn't, because I thought I was still taking 5 seconds. I'll double check.
So
that
it could be that those passives only take place if you imbue. In that case.
Yeah, I would have to check on that.
If you're looking at the notes, Aerotherapy, is there somewhere in there where it kind of footnotes that most of these things that turn into passives are supposed to be things you pick up at level 50, and if you don't, you're supposed to go see a trainer, and if it is still stuck as a trainable option, you have to put a bug in or something? Because it sounded to me like most of those things hit as a level 50 thing now. Or they would.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
But that would make sense, yeah.
All right, maybe I just didn't notice it because...
Well, I thoroughly intend on getting the client and looking at some of that stuff, because I'm really curious to see how that's going to look, especially for Guardians, because 5 targets is not enough for tanking or DPS.
Yeah, I'm sure that this will all get worked out as people post on the forums, and it'll all make sense in, if not in this update, then definitely the next one. But right now, I think that there's not really enough depth to the imbue system. I know that the whole goal is to reduce the amount of depth from the other system, but right now it just feels kind of, because you can't pick like where you want the XP to go, it feels like, okay, now it's just leveling up by itself at random.
Seems kind of canned.
Yeah, it seems like it's just not as involved as it used to be. And also, there's issues with things becoming overpowered. If they allow you to choose where you want the XP to go, I think that would help a lot. But it still feels a little flat. Now, you still can change out, once you imbue an item, you still can change out all the runes and essences and those type of things, which is good. So that's still there. It's just the legacies that are just changed over to a new imbue system.
Okay, I see what happened now. I'm checking there. Is the induction time, has been reduced to 2 seconds. What I saw was saying 5 seconds was the duration, which of course is still at 5 seconds. Okay, yeah, but looks like they did put a passive that reduced it. Thanks for telling me.
So yeah, one thing I also noticed is there's a lot of stuff you can pay Mythril coins for.
Oh yeah.
Which is understandable, because I'm guessing LIs are one of their bigger money makers, because they have like so much that you can monetize through LIs already, and most people don't like to use them, so they probably pay money for them, I'm guessing. But it seems like that there's even more monetization now in this new system than there was in the old system, which I didn't think was even possible. But it is there, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Well, I know that one of the items that's monetized is just essentially the Crystal of Remembrance. Is there, because that was monetized in the old system anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was there earlier.
The question is whether the maximum tier thing is.
Right, now you can increase the maximum tier on everything. If you want to switch out a legacy, you can pay Mythril coins to do that. And also, if you want to add on an 8th legacy, you can pay Mythril coins to do that. Or if you use
that was the Crystal of Remembrance that does that.
Right, but it's just the fact that it's all in the interface now makes it seem like there's more that requires money. So
I think it's about the same amount, but that there are more tiers, which is why it's a little bit more obvious now. And
you could change out legacy. You could buy new legacies from the store before, but now it's actually in the UI, which makes it be more obvious. I don't know how else they would do it, but I was surprised by the costs, which obviously they're not final because it's beta, but
you got to remember
still they're expensive.
The original advertisement was that you lock your legacies and you can't change them. So giving you the option to do it for a inordinately expensive amount is consistent with that.
Yeah, I guess I'd just rather have to go to the trainer to have those store options there. But that's okay. Now there's just nowhere that you can really click your. Basically, it's like playing Russian roulette with your mouse, where if you have the LI panel, you'll either.
Well, there is that, yeah.
But that's okay. And like they said, the UI is not final, so maybe they'll reduce that
And
or
I
increase
do
it
expect that the tiers and things like that. Hopefully, the costs go down. Things like the scrolls of empowerment. You'll need like 400 something of them to fully max out a legendary item, and like several 100,000 marks. And like people were doing the math and be like, this is really expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, it makes sense because it's one of those things they don't want you ever to change. Like the idea is, yay, I don't have to do this ever again except for just this one more thing. It just seems like it's a lot more grind after you already got it and did it all to begin with.
Yeah, it definitely seems like. Well, I don't. You're only doing it with one item though, so you're not having to do it again and again and again.
Well, 2 items.
Well,
because
true.
Well,
yeah,
when they
and
add the
then-
bridles finally, assuming they, I
So
think they
3.
made it sound like that the bridles were not added yet, but they're going to eventually get imbued.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. But so anyway, it's a step in the right direction for people who don't want to keep deconstructing their items. I do really like that they allow people who liked the old system to keep the old system. I think that is a huge, huge plus. So now it just requires the players who don't like the old system to give feedback, and let the players who like the old system to keep the old system how it was. I hope they make both equally viable. Otherwise, everyone will have to imbue, and it's just another thing that you have to do on your allies now.
Yeah, the question is what's going to happen when they raise the level cap next for 105 or 110 is, are they going to
If they
have
raise the
legendary
level
item
cap.
drops?
If they ever raise the level.
Yeah, if they never raise it again, that's a moot point.
In which case, then this whole new system is really just another progression system, not an actual change for the allies. I'm
So
guessing
instead of leveling your character, you're leveling your weapons from here on out.
Yeah, I've seen every time that the question has come up, if people want to see level caps, I've seen 50-50 split on if they want it or if they don't, which has really surprised me. If that stays about the same, we might not see another level increase if if people don't become more vocal on wanting one. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and if this system is actually going to be an alternate system for the allies, or if it's just going to be an additional system.
I would be kind of surprised. It seems like they're setting this up, because as it is, with every expansion and new region and things like that, there's quests to do, so you level up.
Right.
And then in Gondor, we've had that not be the case.
Right.
Which is unusual. So I feel like this is setting it up for, from starting in Gondor, you would get these weapons and then you'd be leveling these weapons, not the characters, from here on out.
Yes, that's definitely a possibility. That's not how they originally pitched it, but we do have a new executive producer now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And also with the essence armor, they can always bring new essences so that there's some different things to do.
Oh, that's a new thing. We've got 5-slot essence armor and a bunch of multiple slot jewelry as well coming out.
Yep.
All right. Anything else about the update 16 that anyone wishes to add?
The Dawnless Day still makes things really dreary.
Well, I'm sorry, that's Sauron's plan.
They added in a little bit more red and a little bit more lightning, which is kind of nice.
That lightning is cool looking.
That lightning is cool looking. Once the battle starts taking place at Minas Tirith, though, I hope that we get to start seeing a little bit more light like it is in the books. Because we really need some more light. Because it's yes, you can see Minas Tirith, but I mean, during the daytime, it's kind of hard to see, and during night, you really have a hard time seeing it. And so, it just makes the zones not as exciting. I mean, we're in these really epic places, but it's really depressing to be in those really epic places. And so, there's really no way for Turbine to get around that, but it's just really not the best thing
It's going
for
to be
the game right
tough
now.
on Minas Tirith, because when we quest to Minas Tirith, it'll be before Pelennor, and before Pelennor, of course, it's going to be dark.
Right,
And
I'm saying
at
once the
Pelennor,
battle
finally
starts
gets-
is what I said. So
Yeah, but
I
they
think,
can't change how the landscape unless they have two different versions of Minas Tirith.
well,
You-
I'm guessing that it'll be, I don't know, because after the battle, there's going to be a whole lot of wreckage all over the place.
Well,
I would
okay, you got
imagine
a
they
point
do it like
there.
Helm's Deep.
Yeah, I guess you got a point there.
And Isengard, and how they've done everywhere else. I'd be surprised if they don't do it that way.
All right, very well. Let's head into the store sales.
Okay, sample of the week is a plus 100% infamy or renown gain times 1. Use coupon code 93IRG, one time per account. We also have 20% off quest packs, Mithril coins, 100% XP boost for an hour, and max morale and power scrolls. I thought this was kind of an unrelated, random bunch of stuff. Quest packs are good, yay! And I may pick up some Mithril coins because I do tend to buy them when they're on sale. Because I can never seem to get them in Hobbit presents.
All right. Then let's get into the site news, and we'll begin with our poll for the week. And the question is, what is your highest level character?
Yes, and the people have spoken, like they do every week. And so, with 62% of the vote, level 100 is their highest level character. So they are at cap, 204 votes. With the next highest is the next highest level range, 76 to level 99, 16%. And then continuing, actually all these are in order, so I should probably just say it that way instead of saying it every time. So 51 through 75, 10%. And with 34 votes, and then also at 10%, 26 through 50, 2 votes behind, 32 votes. And then 1 through 25 at 2% with 7 votes. So I'm not that surprised by this poll. This is kind of what I expected. Yeah, was anybody surprised by this?
Well, it kind of gives you a sampling of the demographics of those who are looking for LOTRO-related content, fan-based
Right.
or otherwise, on the web. Is it you guys seasons players who are looking for ways to make things better, or they're already interested in the content, and so they naturally have the level 100s. I think the only reason I don't have a level 100 is just a little bit lazy in terms of leveling.
All right, then. Then, Lily Kay, you're finished ranting on the music system, right?
Yeah, I think I've exhausted that for now.
All right. Well, Lily Kate did write an article about this, describing her preliminary findings on there, so you could read that if you wish. So let's go into the Spring Racing Carnival.
Okay, yeah, Windy Acres Ranch is run by Kira Lynn on Landreval. She's organising a load of horsey type races and events for the month of April, usually happening on Saturdays. There's a race each week. We've just had one today, and then there's one next Saturday, one the Saturday after, and then there's a big day of events on the 25th. To find out details on how you can enter, just go to steelandmagic.com, where she has the race courses, how to enter, and everything about Windy Acres Ranch and what they do. So TSO will be playing for them next week.
Awesome.
All right, there. So let's go into the April Fool's Day articles, and it sounds like we had some shenanigans at the site.
We did Pineleaf every year, and I say every year because we've been around for 2 April Fools now, so clearly every year we have had April Fool's Day stuff because back when I was a writer on CSTM before they ended, I loved April Fools every single year. They just continued to have fantastic articles on there every April Fools. We'd plan months ahead, and it was just a lot of fun behind the scenes as well on the other side, because I was on both sides of it throughout the years. And so we continued that on LOTRO Players, and I think the first April Fool's email went out like in January, so we've been planning for like 3 months at least on this stuff. And yeah, had a lot of fun, a lot of great articles. And Brax, I think that your article came out first in the day, if you want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't been doing a lot of LOTRO stuff lately, but I did have to participate in April Fool's Day because it's the only day of the year that I get to troll people and get away with it. So this year I came up with the idea of, because of all of the server merges and stuff that we're talking about, I came up with the idea of, well, what if we came out with an article that said, okay, to go along with the server merges, we're not only going to merge servers, we're going to actually merge all the servers into one big new server, and we're going to put everybody on it, and then we're going to slice it up in different layers so that people who don't want to be on big servers can control that and stuff like that. So really, this is what it was. I think I called the server Arda, a really dense area or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my April Fool's gag this time around. It wasn't a big one, just kind of a quick little press release trying to, make fun of the server merge talk that's going on.
So I loved a couple things in here. First of all, the fact that it's going to be located on an oil rig to make it be centrally located, which is much more centrally located than New Jersey for America. Still don't understand that, but okay. And then I really liked how it was going to download and install Shadow of Mordor if you want to play by yourself.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that's your single player option.
Yeah, that was great.
All right, then. What's the next article?
The next article is the Lalia's market being closed down by Zinger. And if you have not read Zinger's articles yet, just go read them all, because he's fantastic at Photoshop. He has a really good sense of humor, and he keeps the chat lively whenever he's in the chat, which is pretty much every week, including tonight. So, hey, Zinger. I really enjoyed this article. It made me laugh out loud a lot as he proposed it, and then throughout. There's images of basically the town burning all of Lalia's stuff that was in the market, and they have it boarded up. It's so great.
Very well, and it looks like he's also responsible for the update 41.15 patch notes.
I really hope that this happens someday. I want these patches to happen. He jokingly announced a new epic battle called Halt the Hobbits, and he has an image of 1,000 hobbits marching towards the Shire across the Brandywine or Gestabree or somewhere, and there's catapults set up to take down the hobbits that are hungry because they didn't have their pie.
Yes.
He introduced stuff like vuvuzelas to be blowing for a new musical instrument because the pig-gorn wasn't irritating enough. And there's just all sorts of great stuff in here. I definitely recommend reading through all the April Fool's articles. They were really great.
The bear puns.
Yes, the bear puns.
The class changes were my favorite part. Talking about how wardens can enter a fellowship instance with themselves.
And champions being rebalanced, and then they figured they couldn't, so they just deleted the class.
Yeah. All right. And it looks like, Teri, what's new pet?
New cosmetic pet Balrog, and Zinger actually gets a shout out here too because he did my graphics for me, in case anybody couldn't figure that out already. So he did triple duty for April Fools. He not only did 2 articles of his own, he helped me with mine. But yeah, I got the idea one day because I wanted to do something with Balrogs, and I had a couple of different ones, and I was like, we've done a lot of stuff with cosmetic pets. Let's do a cosmetic pet Balrog. So yeah, and I really want a purple one.
Right.
I like the scale.
Yeah.
A purple Balrog?
Yes, a purple cosmetic pet Balrog. That's what I want.
The little one.
That's on my.
A little one that's
on my
controllable,
wish.
And I'll tell you again, Terry, there's a reason you're not a game designer at Turbine.
There's lots of reasons why I'm not a game designer.
All right. And finally Tim did let's say not exactly all right, he did a modified version of this week's Family Line, which had a different ending than the official one that came out later.
Even had different images and stuff like that. I was very impressed how credible he actually made it look between the two versions.
Threw me off. It totally threw me off. I was like, wait, what?
Well,
what?
Actually, there's only one thing that made me not believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, as soon as I saw it appeared, because it was April Fool's Day, it appeared a day early. And I knew, okay, it had to be a fake one. Because I know he always comes up like clockwork on Thursdays. Next year, though, he might sneak one in.
Yeah, next year he might, if he's still writing this series.
No. Next year.
Next year.
Oh, that's right.
Friday.
Next year it's on Friday because it's leap year. Next year.
Next year.
Yeah. All right. All right, then. That's it for our April Fool's Roundup. So let us head into our LOTRO video highlights. Russian Machinima.
Yes, finally. This is an interesting video. It's showing basically it was originally part of a LOTRO versus WoW video. And basically this was a machinima he made to put in the middle of it. And I don't understand a word of it. I don't need to understand a word of it, to be quite honest. It's just really interesting and possibly funny as well to watch LOTRO from another point of view in another language and not understand a word of it. It has a really good beat, and it seems to be bashing WoW. So if you want to watch Russian sing a song
I'll
about
watch that.
bashing WoW and talking about how good LOTRO is, this might be the video for you. The real reason I posted this was, well, first of all, I was surprised that this existed. I found it a couple years ago. And I figured, what better week to release this than April Fool's Week? I did release it on the appropriate day because I wanted to make sure that people knew that this was a real video. It wasn't just me being crazy. Rex, I showed this to you months ago. What did you think about it?
Which one was this? Was this the? I don't remember now.
It's kind
This
of
was
like
the
a
Russian
psychedelic.
rap psychedelic video.
Yeah, it's like a
Wow.
hobbit in a dubstep club. Is what it is.
Pretty
Really,
much.
everything that the Russian people seem to do with LOTRO videos is just amazing. I don't know what it is, but it's incredibly hilarious.
I've found the only channels I've found are machinima channels, and I've found 3 different ones of them. And so far, all 3 of the ones I've found from Russia are absolutely amazing. They are fantastic at this, and I don't know why they're better than it. Maybe it's because they're a few updates behind, so they haven't lost as many players yet or something. I don't know, but they seem to do a really good job with this and make great videos. So.
All right, then. Then let's head into LOTRO Player Screenshot Competition. Flowers?
That's back to me again, Pine Leaf. For about 8 months now, I've been running an LMB forum screenshot competition, and I thought, as it's been ages and ages and ages since we've had any type of screenshot competition, I would kind of run a simultaneous, just for fun competition for anybody in LOTRO Players that wants to send in a screenshot. We start at the beginning of the month, and then about the 1st or the 2nd, I publish the winning shot and then announce the next month's theme. So if you want to send a screenshot, obviously it's got to adhere to the theme. You can go to LOTROplayers.com and find all the rules and regulations. Obviously it's got to be your screenshot. There can only be 1 screenshot per person and other such silliness. So yeah, just send it to lilykatebuggins@gmail.com. And yeah, at the moment I'm picking a winner until I find somebody else to drag in to finding winners. Had no entries at the moment whatsoever, so it's an easy job for me.
Yes. Okay. My question, of course, is: does it affect are members who are currently on this podcast allowed to enter?
Yes.
Okay. Since there are no
Yay.
prizes, I guess we don't have to worry about
The
that.
only prize is the fact that you get it published at the top of the next month's competition, and you get to pat yourself on the back. Because there's no way that I could award a prize for this on all the. I mean, I have lots of Lily Cates on lots of servers, but if I
Yeah.
could find out where you are, I might pop in and send you a pie. But that would be it.
Talk to me after the show, Locate, and we might do something special for the next one. Not this month, but in the future.
Okay.
So there might be a prize later.
There might
Dun,
be.
dun, dun.
Maybe I can help you with giving out the prizes on Brandywine. I have lots of stuff to give.
I'm on brand. Oh.
Yeah, I give you the frog, remember?
Oh yeah, my ribbit frog.
All right. All right, with that, let's head into the family line 38, Ellsworth of Dale. We had the last couple of episodes where we were learning about Ellsworth, and now this time we learn a little bit more about her background and how they interact with each other. And of course, there are two versions of this, one that was done on April Fool's Day, and of course the official one. All right. Anyone else have any comments here?
I think long pauses said everything on it finally.
I thought I'd been cut off. I'm like, oh my god, did my Skype thing up?
Yeah, I've had so
confused
many
me.
internet issues tonight.
Yeah.
By the way, people who haven't weren't in the live chat earlier, I've had a lot of internet issues tonight because my college just randomly decided to cut the internet out on like one of the most important shows of the year because of all the news that's coming out. So thanks, college. That's great.
The long pause was like a minor heart attack moment for me. I was like, did I accidentally stop something?
Well, it did help that somebody posted in our
Yeah.
Skype channel to put in a long pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that taken care of.
All right.
I will say, like that particular family line, it was good. I was like, wait, I couldn't decide which was more dramatic, the April Fool's one or that one. It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go into Brax's pick of the week.
Yes, I have a pick. I'm here, and I found a pick while we were recording. So
It's actually given by Brax this
Bravo,
week.
Brax.
That's like amazing.
to kind of go along with
Throwback.
with the theme of Update 16 and all the news we've had. Lena has been busy over at the Biscuity Burrow, and she's got some nice screenshots up from Bull Roar on some of the stuff that we were talking about earlier. Right there, this will be good for you since you haven't gotten in on the client yet. She's got some really good ones of Osgiliath kind of from a distance, and then she's got a really cool one that I noticed from a distance with her Hobbit kind of facing. You can see Osgiliath on the right and Minas Tirith on the left, and so she's kind of taken some pretty cool landscape shots of the new area. Would be really good if you wanted just a quick view, like a one-pager. She goes a little bit over the LI system as well, I think. But I know for sure, and this just came out as we were recording as well, Roger over at Contains Moderate Peril just put out his Eastern Gondor preview. And he's got some screenshots of the LI update, the imbuing system. And so he's got quite a few screenshots on his too. So I would check out both of those. They're called The Maps of Eastern Gondor by Lena over at the Biscuity Burrow, and Eastern Gondor's preview over at Contains Moderate Peril. Got some nice blog posts out there already about Update 16.
Oh, I just love when she's being smacked by the elephant tusk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she said that was a predictable exercise there.
Yeah, predictable. Yes. Walk up to an elephant and what happens? Smack.
Those are impressive.
And the maps, I noticed, the maps look really good. They look like satellite images almost. Is that what they really look like on Bull Roar?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like on Bull Roar.
Because that's basically this is one of the earliest versions of beta they've had open to everyone. Because normally at this stage it's normally behind an NDA back when we had NDAs with expansions. So they haven't got the final map in yet. So yeah, it does look like that.
So it'll look like a drawing when they get done.
Right,
instead
yeah.
of a satellite. Yeah, okay.
It's not going to look like that when they're done.
Right. These are the images you get in your mini map when you're moving around.
I think we need a Google Earth version of Middle Earth there.
There used to actually be an official Google Earth, Middle Earth.
Yeah,
And,
back in the
they're
day.
still updating it. So
Yeah,
was
but
awesome,
you're pretty
too.
close. You get pretty close to that with a plug-in
yeah,
where you could bring up something like that. All right. Let's head into our new player question.
All right. Remember me? I'm Maven.
Yeah, I've heard of you.
Hey.
I've
Hey,
uncharacteristically not talked for like the last half hour.
Welcome back.
Hey, thanks. Open tapping. What is it? Tell me everything.
Well,
back in the
Columbus
day.
discovered America in 1492.
Well,
He would-
basically, you can hit stuff while other people are hitting stuff, and you both get credit.
Yeah.
So it used to
Yes.
not be that way, right? And I mean, I know when I started playing not that long ago, so open tapping was in effect at that point. But I think I didn't even know there was anything like that, and I automatically assumed that whoever got the kill got the credit. So I was running around, probably a lot of new players probably do this, rushing in, trying to elbow anybody else out, all that stuff. And I assume that's the way it used to be, right? What open tapping wasn't
Actually,
always.
it was in the past. It was whoever hit
Yeah.
it first got the credit, not whoever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, whichever player or fellowship hit first, and that's actually the way it is in a lot of games still that aren't Lord of the
Okay.
Rings. But with the advent of Rohan and all of the epic things that happened when mounted combat changed, they added it to where anybody who has a play in defeating a monster gets partial credit for that monster, whether you heal somebody who's fighting the monster or whether you're actually hitting the monster yourself.
Yeah, and you actually get full credit, and you actually get your own loot table. So there's no stealing of anything. So
Right. So, like,
Yeah.
if you've got to kill 6 of whatevers and somebody else is in the same space, I mean, if I go up and, like, shoot, if I'm using, if it's Glordrill Arrow Maven, one of my Mavens, and she shoots the guy with the bow, but, like, misses or it's not a critical hit, that doesn't really count, right? I mean,
As
I
long as
actually
you
have,
engage.
like, some damage
basically,
to it.
the way that you tell if you get credit is there's actually an indicator on the left of the enemy portrait when you have them selected. It'll turn from gray swords to green swords. And once the swords are green, you get credit.
Okay.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
that
I
is
should-
very cool.
I
Okay.
should note that there is an exception on this matter. Is that there are some NPCs who, if they hit a mob, they automatically steal credit from you, and you completely lose all credit for it.
I noticed
Right.
that.
And,
I
like,
actually
yeah,
noticed that in a Rohan instance. I noticed that if an NPC started fighting with the mob, even if I killed the guy, it didn't matter.
Yeah, this biggest area of this is in Anuminous, near one of the ranger positions,
Ah, okay.
and
Yeah.
also in Trestle Bridge near the bridge.
And also in what Trish is talking about, one of those hit boulder instances, if the mobs start hitting it, then you don't get credit.
Yeah, I mean, I got to the part where it was like, okay, you guys, I'm just leaving you guys, but I'm going to go find some other orcs. Because if you
Yeah.
guys have already started shooting them, I'm like, I'm not playing with you. I'm going someplace
Oh
else.
yeah, okay, yes, that is.
Taking my arrows and bow, and I'm going to go play in this other
That's
field. Thank
right.
you very much.
That's right. If you're not going to
That's
give me
right.
credit.
Yeah.
And you know that sand castle I built in Evandam? You can't share in playing with that. It's
You don't
my
need
own
your
sand
help.
castle.
All
I
right.
was just thinking those zealous rangers in Anuminos were pretty known for doing that.
The first time when I got to Numinous, and I was like, what's going on? This troll. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I mean, these are NPCs are fighting. I was totally like, I just like stood there, couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah, that's the way things go on there.
Now I just like walk through it, It's like, oh, okay, I'm just walking through. I'm just trying to get to the stable master. Excuse me.
Right. All right. Let's head into our weekend Lotro. And we'll begin with Estelle Ali.
Hey guys, okay, so, well, I did lots of rowing threats and warbands of Central Gondor this week. They were really fun, and finding them, it was like hide and seek. Then I leveled all my lower level alts to use their daily XP. And Casual Raiders as a kin made some progress on Ostanhoth Wound Wing and as well as Disease Wing on tier 2, which was it's like ridiculously really hard. Like you need really awesome players with awesome DPS and capped mitigations to get through them. But we made some progress. We found out some new ways to do it. And I solo healed Bells of Dale tier 2 challenge on my captain, which was pretty awesome. And I did the same on Fornost Firewing, so that's pretty awesome. So captain heals are really cool. If you use that legacy, not legacy, the essence from Central Gondor, which increases your healing output by 20%. So it's really cool. And today we did Tower of Orthanc and Dragon Raid. Not today, yesterday. We did Dragok and Tower of Orthanc. And from Dragok, I hadn't seen it in a long time, but finally the Dragon Fireplace dropped, so it was really cool.
Sweet.
That's pretty much it.
Awesome.
All right then. Lily, what did you do?
Hi, well, to start with, as you probably have already heard, a lot of music system testing and listening to other bands also testing. And I did a little bit of Tinky spotting. You can find it in this week's posts. We took Tinky to Miramir and hid her for your delight. So there's a really good one for Pine Leaf, so get in there, find it. And then I made a little video about using Maestro. I was testing out this new headset, which I've stolen off my significant other, trying to get the volume levels. And then after I did the video, I decided to create my own lyrics to the particular song. So I wrote a song about counting sheep. So pop along to my YouTube channel and have a listen to that. It's quite fun. Rehearsing of TSO 24 we had, and June 7th anniversary was last weekend, so we had a big party. We did some RP today with the kinfolks, trying to find a pie vault, and instead we found a Palantir, but Lily Kate wasn't that interested in it because she was just after the pies. What do you want to do with the ball? I've got a paw. I can take you to Lord Elrond. Be quick. Come on, we'll get home for tea. LMB Book Club, where we're discussing The Children of Hurin. That started last week, so that's fun. And then today I've been on Crick Hollow to prep my characters for when LOTRO on Tour and Buggins' band's visits. Now it's going to be in 2 weeks, not the 25th, but we're going there on the 18th to perform because of the spring racing. Carnival has all-day events on Saturday the 25th, so we're pushing our concert to accommodate that event there. We couldn't push it backwards on the 25th because at that particular time on Crick Hollow there's another regular band playing, so you can catch us on the 18th over on Crick Hollow playing hopefully something.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully something that sounds decent. Yes.
I'm not sure, but I'll skip those dodgy notes. I won't play the lute. I'll leave the bagpipes at home. We'll bang some cowbells. It'll be fun, whatever happens. That's what I did this week. Not much, just a bit.
All right, then. Carvette, what did you do?
Well, it's good to hear that T2 is on the topic of discussion tonight. Although I will say, from what I was reading on the forums, T2 raids, or even instances for that matter, that are run below level cap seem to be significantly harder than if you run them at cap with all of the mitigations and stuff. So, in our Tuesday group, my friend and I have been kind of wanting to run Into the Forsaken on T2 because it accesses extra traps and different things and riddles, and so we figured we'd give it a shot at level 50. It was ridiculous. Teri Edwin was with us as we ran through that, and let me just say that I found a new way for a minstrel to farm the res deed. Specifically, my minstrel found a new way to involuntarily use me as his res deed. He would basically res me and then step on a trap while I was loading, and then I would spawn into a spinning trap. So It was like, what are you doing? So that was fun and mean at the same time, but we had a good laugh. Another thing that I did this week was I had another fun stream with Mrs. Carve where we ran around Moria and got lost from one another. I learned that when you're live streaming with your wife, anything is fair game, and it's okay to lie only when she gives you permission. Zinger was there for that, and so there were a few choice comments made, but we had a lot of fun on my stream channel. But other than that, I haven't really been able to get in game much this week. Just a lot of stuff going on with the family.
All right, then, Maven.
It was a pretty light week for me actually this week. Actually, I think I actually burned myself out on Sunday. Frankly, I was taking advantage of the Craft XP boost, for the weekend, and I took my mini burglar from level 8 to level 21 just by farming and cooking. I'd heard it could be done. I've heard people do that. I've heard people take them way past, like 60 or on, beyond. I thought, I'll give this a try, and so I did it, and I think I literally burned myself out on Sunday. So I've done some other light stuff this week, but the main thing then, other than that, was I got my Extra Life swag for having donated to Sapiens's, Extra Life campaign. So I've got all these extra cosmetics and horses and titles, and I'm having fun kind of, digging into all that good stuff. So, and that's it. I mean, running around Rohan and leveling up my Berg.
All right, then. Arether.
More stuff all around. We did another more lunch runs. We had our first had our first did not finish. The chicken got toasted twice on Laurelin, which was very depressing, all things considered. But Brandywine made up for it right afterwards. We had 20 people escorting this little chicken. We had 4 chickens and 20 escorts. It was amazing. We actually when we went around Bree, we went into extra dynamic layers, which was not fun because it was just me and another chicken and one guy, and we're like, where'd everybody go? It was interesting. So, but they got a new first place with 1 hour, 17 minutes, 57 seconds, which is about it's like 9 minutes faster than the one before it.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a pretty significant gap there. It's going to be hard to beat that. But the forum post is now sticky, so we might have a little more knowledge about it coming into servers, which is nice.
Good.
Yeah. And more LI stuff. Yay! My girlfriend and I duo hunters, and we are at the Walls of Moria. It's her first time getting legendary items, and it's my first time being there back at the Walls of Moria since I took my Guardian through, like a year and a half ago. So it's like, yeah, I remember all this stuff. All the whole family of dwarves all being dwarves. Yeah. So it's fun. It's kind of fun to revisit places you haven't been in so long and see it from a fresh perspective. So we're having fun doing that for sure. My minstrel is at level 42 now, so I'm getting close to that point too. I'm fully determined, as soon as I possibly can, to do Eregion. I've never done anything in Eregion, and I want to so bad.
Wow,
so that's what's happening.
That's a great
I know.
zone.
That's what everyone tells me every time I say that. So I'm just going to keep saying
It
it.
is a good zone.
Instances are really cool in there too.
Yeah, that's what I hear. And my minstrel, I decided the minstrel is going to be for healing. The more healing I can do on that thing, the better. My Runekeeper, when I get around to leveling him, he'll be just damage. So I can keep my brain separate and not have to make multiple LIs and trait setups and all that jazz.
Right.
So I'm excited. And I've started healing a little bit more on the minstrel. It's a lot of fun. Very challenging for sure. And last thing was Moors. My Warg hit rank 9 last night / this morning, which was a lot of fun. Yeah. It's not that exciting for some people. They're like, that's nothing. I got like 6 rank 15s. I'm like, yeah, cool. But so for me, rank 9's a big deal. So I was pretty happy to get that last night. That's it.
All right, then. And for me, my minstrel on Dwarf Elf reached level 25. This was in preparation not for this month's concert, but next month's. I think I got the server right for what's next month.
Oh, Pineleaf, did you create a dwarf?
Oh, we're supposed to do dwarves?
Yeah, I was going to announce it at the end of the month that I thought it'd be fun to just have an all dwarf.
Dope!
Sorry.
It's all right. You can do it again, Pine
Is
Leaf.
it a hobbit?
All right, I will be trying again.
No, Pine Leaf, is it a
That's the
hobbit?
way.
Or
What?
is it proper Pine song, as usual?
It's proper Pine song.
Oh, we could do an episode of the Muppets, couldn't we? Like one full one and a load of short ones. It could work. You could be a tall dwarf.
Well, we'll see. I'll probably be leveling up a dwarf soon, and we'll have options.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
All right, then. I was running book 13 on my level 50 Bjorning for my video series. So I'm up to book 13, which means that I am up in Forhel.
For hell, nice. You got the pronunciation right from Tolkien Professor.
Well, you should hear from last week.
Yeah, that show was an interesting one.
Now, I did my monthly announcement as to what my plans are for the month. And one of the plans that I had was to do a LOTRO completionist series. And I decided to ask my viewers what their opinion was. And the response was so underwhelming, meaning I got one response and that was more discouraging than anything else, that I've decided to try something else instead. And we'll see more about that next time. It's not directly in LOTRO, but I'm going to do a LOTRO spin to it.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Okay. So, Andang.
Yes. Just say my name, don't ask what I've done. Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I thought you knew the drill by now.
So yes, this week I broke Teri.
Yay!
She can explain that if she wants. I'm just going to say I broke Teri.
I helped.
Good job.
Do we?
No, he managed.
Is she still broken?
No, he's actually not referring to that call, Lily. He's referring to yesterday when we were doing instances. He and Pine Leaf managed to break me completely.
Oh, that's twice this week then.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we actually broke Teri twice, but we really broke Teri on the
What did you
instance time.
do?
Basically, a troll went down. Basically, we were in the instance, and so Teri just gets flung off the stairs, and I'm banging on this troll trying to get aggro back. He does not pay attention to me at all. His intent is to kill Teri as much as possible, and so she goes flying off these stairs that almost kill her. And then the troll just starts running down the stairs as fast as possible at Teri, and it was the best thing ever. Watch the video. It's one of the best moments I've had on my channel in some time, I think. It's a lot of fun.
It's kind of indicative as to how much threat a guardian or a champion can manage to generate with crappy re-rolled gear, because I had to re-roll Teri on Brandywine for reasons. And so I didn't even have all the gear that I have online, and I'm still more awesome than Andang because I do so much more damage that the NPCs just want me to die.
But Andang
Yeah,
was
and
also a champ, wasn't he?
Yeah. And
But Teri had the expert
of,
gear. She had the top gear, so.
I did have, and
but-
that's not as good as my actual live gear either.
Of course not. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and just to say what video that actually was, because I guess I never did. That's the first beta instance video that I made.
Yeah, that was the Sunken Labyrinth.
Yep. So what'd you do this week, Teri?
Ridiculously hard. What I did this week, aside from dying a lot in Bull Roar yesterday, and in the Forsaken Inn, thanks Carvet. That was not my decision to run that at Tier 2, by the way. They just kind of dragged me along for the ride because I was the third person of the Tuesday group that showed up.
It was fun. Come on.
No. And here's, I'm actually on record as saying, as I'm dying a zillion times to the trolls in Osgiliath, that it was still easier than what we did on Tuesday.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you guys broke my champ twice. Notwithstanding the residue into the spike trap, I did have to repair twice.
Okay, look, that was not me.
I know.
was laughing about it because it wasn't me. This is the same minstrel who's farmed my burglar for Resdeed before, so
Oh, this minstrel.
yeah,
That
that
was the
minstrel.
scientific curiosity of will the trolls AoE knock her out of stealth? Yes, it will. I'm gonna flop. Oh, she's dead. And she was AFK at the time.
Yeah. But what I actually did this week was I completed Central Gondor on live.
Nice.
So I'm all ready for when the update finally comes out on live.
Awesome.
All right, then. Then let us head into News Beyond LOTRO. We have a single piece this week, and something about what would happen if Galadriel met Batman.
Wow.
Yes.
That is some funny
Trish, have you seen this
stuff.
video yet?
No, I
This is a you
Oh,
video,
man.
Trish. You have to watch
Neither.
this video.
I saw that when it came out on April Fool's, and I was like, this is some great stuff.
It
I gotta
is
see
awesome.
this.
Yeah, this
Funny
did
stuff.
come out for April Fools, and it was fantastic. Basically, Batman is trying to, Batman and Galadriel are trying to go on a date with each other, and the result that happens is like the best of both characters, and so it's not only great for Batman fans, but also great for Galadriel fans, and if you're fans
That
of
is
both,
funny.
this is the video to watch, because it is just awesome.
What if I'm a fan of Celeborn?
Then you're...
Oh,
You're out of
sad.
Then you might not like this video because Batman's totally stealing the woman there, but
Nobody's a fan of Celeborn.
Poor Celeborn.
Oh,
yeah,
Stellar
poor
Stellar
True.
is probably a fan of Celeborn.
He's sad.
Aside from that, nobody's a fan of Celeborn.
All right, then. Let's go into donations. This week we did not receive any Patreon mentions, but we would love your support. To help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards including a mention on the podcast of your choice or even a guest spot on an episode of LOTRO Players News. And how far are we from our goal?
We are still about $26 away from the next giveaway, which is a 5,000 turbine point code giveaway. So we're still about the same distance, but it just takes 26 people at $1 to get us there. So feel free to support us on Patreon and get great rewards in the process.
Very well. We did not receive any reviews on iTunes, and we don't have any emails this week, though if you want to send us one, you can send it to podcast@lotroplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, Lotro Players @LotroPlayers, Andang @PVMP_Andang, Arithert @Arithert, Braxwolf @Braxwolf, Carvet @CarvetLP, Maven @LotroMaven, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, Teri Adwin Teri Adwin, Lily Kate. You don't have one down here, Lily.
Lily Kate Buggins.
Okay, Lily Kate Buggins, and you can follow our guest Estelali at
Uh-huh.
DGENXALI.
How do you say it?
Let's see.
Gen
Gen X
XLE.
Yeah. Come on, I explained it on one of
Gen
the
XLE's
points.
in the house.
The story behind Dgen X. Where does Dgen X come from?
Yeah, but Ali,
Gen
remember,
X.
we're dealing with Pineleaf here, so...
Is that,
Finally
okay.
knows
Is that-
everything.
is that
I
instead
like
of
to
Generation
take
X,
a-
is that Degeneration X?
Exact-
Degeneration
Yes,
X.
that's it is. It's Dgen X,
Ah.
but it's Ali. It's like my degeneration. No.
Ah,
fine.
okay.
And you can send your...
That's heavy.
Yes. Yes. Everyone, please send your poems or everything you write about Lotro, anything you create in like the literal sense. Please send it to legendraiderx@gmail.com. I would like to feature your poems and even comment on it if you want.
Very well.
Awesome.
The Players Alliance has 3 live shows every single week. On Mondays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have BDO Players News. On Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Guild Wars Players News. And on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. And you can join us for our live shows on lotroplayers.com/live. Thank you, everyone, for listening. That is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.